Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. In a packed program today, I will be giving you the March targets for Bitcoin and why I believe the price will not go past the R2 line for this month in March. In the last month, I said quite clearly that we would meet the R1 line, R2 line and R3 line, but I didn't think we would meet the R4 line because of this red line here, the Bitcoin investor tool line, which I said that it will hold back the price before hitting the R4 line. And that's exactly what we did and came back here. Now, will this red line play an important role going up here as well for March? We'll wait and see. Secondly, I will show you why this candle here that's just closed in February is the most important candle for Bitcoin in the last 3.5 years, and the monumental significance of this has for the current bull market. In the last video, I showed you this fractal from the January price movements of Bitcoin here, and why this is now predicting that we have bottomed out at $43,000 in this correction, and the next target is at $71,300 before we have the next correction. I'll also show you how you can use the weekly RSI to buy at the very lowest prices for any stocks and shares, not just in crypto. Finally, I'm going to show you a beautiful lady called Success and why she is not content with a man who only eats Snickers bars. She is reserved only for a select few people. She doesn't care which country you come from, whether you're from a rich or a poor background, what religion you are, what language you speak, or what color you are. As long as you meet her strict criteria, she will give you her hand. And I'll give you that strict criteria at the end of the video. So please watch the video until the end. So if that sounds interesting, then without further ado, Snickers bar in your right hand, cup of tea in your left hand, eyes on the screen, then let's get cracking. And as always, a polite reminder that I'm not a financial advisor and everything in this video is for educational purposes only. It's always sensible to do your wider research before making any investment decisions. And with that out of the way, the first bite of the Snickers bar takes us to the March targets for Bitcoin. In the last many months, I've been giving you the targets on the Bitcoin prices, and if you've been watching my videos, you'll realize how accurate they have been all along in the last few months. So at the end of January, I gave you the targets for February, and I said quite clearly that we will meet the R1, R2 and the R3 lines, and there was some chance of an R4 line because at that point I didn't know where the Bitcoin investor tool was going to be. But as the Bitcoin investor tool started coming up to here, I said quite specifically that once we meet the R3 target here at the $55,000 level, there was very little chance of the price going up to the 61,000 level simply because of this. This is the Bitcoin investor tool line that I've been showing you for many months now. And as I've said in my last many videos, that this red line is going to play a very significant and relevant role in the price of Bitcoin along the next 3 or 4 months at least, before we finally get above this and end up with a blow off top in the next few months. So the targets for March are, firstly, it looks like we're going to be meeting the R1 line, which is going to be at the 58,300 level. So that's the previous top that we reached up here, which was the $1 trillion mark. And I said at that time that we'll have a correction at the $1 trillion mark, as well as this red line was going to be posing a very strong resistance line. So that prediction came true. So what's going to happen in the future? That's what we're now really interested in knowing. And that is that we should be now coming up to this line very, very shortly to meet the 58,300 level. We will, as far as I can see, meet the R2 line, which is going to be around the 71,300 level. However, just like in February, we didn't have much of a chance of meeting the R4 line. I think this is what's going to happen with the R3 line this time around, simply because if you have a look at this, when we draw the trajectory for this red line here, the Bitcoin investor tool, if we take this red line here, the Bitcoin investor tool, and extend its trajectory forward, you'll see exactly what I mean. So what I think is going to happen in the month of March is that just like when we came up here, I said that we're going to find resistance here. This is very similar to what looks like it's going to happen at the R1 line, which is the 58,300 line. But once we negotiate our way up from there, we're going to come to some resistance here, the R2 line. But it may well be that we hit the line anywhere around here. So there is a very good possibility and a good probability that we're going to hit the R2 line around the 71,200, 71,300 line, and then more than likely get another rejection from there back down to this 58,000 line. We'll wait and see what happens, but this is what the charts look like to me. Everybody has to make up their own mind and exactly how you're going to actually play this going forward. It may well be that there'll be an opportunity to accumulate a little bit more at this red line, but that's your decision. Everybody has their own risk-reward ratio and their own strategy. So whatever your strategy is, I'm just giving you the information of where I think the price of Bitcoin is going to find resistance and the targets that are possible. The R3 line for interest purposes is at 84,000. So to me, it looks like in April, that's when we're going to hit the 84 and the higher lines. But always remember the other line that I keep telling you about, and that is the long-term line for Bitcoin. This yellow line is the long-term trend line, which is the most significant and relevant and most powerful trend line in the history of Bitcoin. As you can see quite clearly, as I've shown you before, this started here, acted as support, support, support all the way around here, support here, resistance, and guess what's going to happen when we come to this line here? With a very, very high degree of probability, we're going to find this a very strong resistance line where we're going to come up to here and we're going to get rejected and have a big correction. This is my opinion. It may be totally wrong, but this is how I see this chart here, that this long-term trend line is going to be the point where we have a very big correction. That could be anywhere around 90 to 100 to 120,000. Wherever we hit it, that's where we're going to have a correction. So when we marry this line with the Bitcoin investor tool line, which is the red line here, you can see quite clearly from these two lines why this red line, the Bitcoin investor tool, and this long-term trend line, the yellow line, are going to be two of the most significant lines in this bull market for Bitcoin. I don't know why other YouTubers aren't talking about it, but certainly as time gets nearer, you'll see that they will all start talking about these two lines as time goes by. But I'm bringing this to your attention now so that you're ahead of the game. And as you can see with this red line, as I've shown you before, once we get past this red line, it's just a matter of weeks before we top off. So this line is going to play a very significant role if we're going to go further into this bull market. And once we get above it, it really is a matter of just a few weeks. As you can see from here, as soon as we go past it, a few weeks later we top off. As soon as we get above there, a few weeks later we top off, etc. So please keep in mind these two lines. So coming back to the pivots, as you can see, this line here is more than likely going to cross the R2 line here. So that's going to be the 71,200, 71,300 line here at the R2 line. And it doesn't look as though in this month we're going to get to the R3 line. So the maximum we're going to get to in the month of March is going to be around the 71,000 mark. But I'm expecting a rejection at this red line again, one more time at least. But if it does manage to negotiate itself above this red line, which is highly unlikely, that will signal that we're only a few weeks away from the end of the bull market. And I don't think that's very probable at this stage of the game. A quick look at the short-term price movements of Bitcoin. In the last video, I showed you this bars pattern and that how we were following this fractal from January in terms of this pattern here, and then we're coming up to this pattern here in the last video, and we've just made this pattern here, which is this point here. So we're really at this point here and going to be climbing this red support line just like we did here, there. What this tells me, if this pattern is to be believed and use it as a prediction, then we've bottomed out here at the 43,000 level, which we bottomed out a few days ago at 43,000. So we're moving out of there and moving towards our 58,300 level at the R1 line for March. Let's wait and see what happens, but certainly we're still following this pattern quite closely. If you want to support the channel, then please click on any of my videos, and then below the videos you'll find a box called Show More, which gives you a description box, and in that description box is the affiliate link with Etoro that I have. So I partner up with Etoro because that's the main exchange I use for all my investments. These are the reasons why I tend to use Etoro. It's a very simple exchange to use in terms of depositing money and withdrawing the money, as well as trading if that's what you want to do, as well as for long-term investing, which is what I tend to do. So if you want to support the channel, please click on the partnership link, and then what you'll do is you'll get this box here, and then you can basically put your username, email and password and just fill in the form there. If you like any of my videos and you find value in them, then please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. On to the main segment of this video, and that is this candle has just signaled something very significant. This is the closing monthly candle of February. And look where it is. It's above this green line, and when I zoom out, you'll see the significance of this green line and this candle. As you can see, as we zoomed out, that the last time we moved above this green line in the bull market was this candle here, this candle. And as you can see, after this, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 monthly candles before we had the top off here. So could we be only 4 months away? Only time will tell. But what this signifies is that we are now at the start of a parabolic phase of the current Bitcoin bull market, which means that we're in the last few months and we're going to get a massive rise up in the next few short months to whatever the target is going to be met. Our target here is at 300,000 in this ballpark figure here. Where it ends, only time will tell, but certainly this candle has now just signaled the start of the parabolic phase of the current bull market. As we go further back in the previous bull markets, we can see that whenever we go above the green line, we're only like 1 or 2 months away from the top. And here as well, once we got above the green line, there were just 2 months before the top of the candle there. So it could well be we're only 2, 3 or 4 months away. But I think in this instance, just from looking at the other charts and the other indicators and the other parts of the important resistance and support lines, this tells me that we are anywhere between 4 and 9 months away to the top of this bull market here. But we need to be aware of this so that we can make the right decisions and the right calls going here, because what we need to be looking out for is the exit indicators, and that's the pi cycle. We have to keep our eye on the pi cycle to see when that will cross. So let's have a quick look at that, exactly where we are today with the pi cycle. Most people looking at these two lines, this is our exit indicator lines, which is called the pi cycle, which is the 350 daily moving average, which is the green line, and the orange line is the 111 daily moving average. It looks like we're very, very close, but if you go left and see that at this point where we are there, this is exactly where we were around that line, and it looked like we were going to be closing there. It was 7 months before we actually moved from this point here to the cross occurring in December 2017. So the lines can be deceiving. They do look as though they're very, very close, but it could well be that with a few more corrections along the way, these lines will be kept apart until they cross about 5, 6 or 7 months later. So keep your eye on this. I just want you to be aware on the bigger picture exactly where we are so we can make the right decisions in this bull market. Many people ask me about when the best time is to buy into Bitcoin, not just for the short term, but for the longer term. Well, this particular chart, the RSI, gives you a very strong clue as to when you should buy and when you should sell. As you can see, this is the relative strength index on the weekly chart of the BLX. If you look closely here, whenever we come down to the 30 level and you look at the corresponding price up there, you can see that it corresponds to the lowest part of the segment of the price line. Here again, we reached 30, and this was telling us that we've come to the bottom of the bear market. This point here, you've got 2 points here. This one corresponded to this low here, and this point here corresponds to there. And look, if you bought any time here, that's what you would have benefited from. If you look left even further, you could have got in here, and that would have corresponded to this low here. And similarly for the highs, you can see clearly the top of this corresponds to the top of this line here. The top of this corresponds to the top of this line here. And again, the top of this market was hitting this, although we had another previous top here. And this looks like that every time we come to a top, the main top of the bull market, we tend to have 2 peaks. So we've got 2 peaks here, 2 peaks there. And if we look to the right, to the current price, we've already had 1 peak here. And we're currently at this level here, around about the 70 mark. So looks to me as though when this comes up to the peak will be our second exit indicator. This will tell us that we're now nearing the top of the market and we need to get out. And then obviously if we marry this up with the pi cycle exit indicators of the 111 daily moving average moving above the 350 daily moving average, we will have a confirmation of our exit strategy. So this may have some way to go. Could be August, September, October, November, December, whatever it is. We're waiting for another big leg up here. And as I've shown you with the monthly candle, we've just moved into the parabolic phase. Just like from here, it came back down just like here. And now we're moving to this particular phase. This move here is the next move up coming up at this stage. So how can we use the RSI for any stocks and shares? If I show you the Apple share price, you can see quite clearly here, you may not be getting these at the bottom at the 30 level, but you've just got to look at where these levels are. So if you look at the bottoms of this, will give you a very good clue as to when the best time to buy some stock like Apple. So you get the horizontal line, you draw it at around about these levels here where they're crossing. Let's say the bottom's around the 28 mark there. If you look at the bottoms here, they correspond to the bottoms over here. So if you wanted to get into Apple, you would have had that benefit from this RSI line here. If you look here, that would have corresponded to this bottom here. And further left, when the line touched here at the 28 line, we were just here. Look at the growth you would have had there. Similarly, if you look at the bottom here, that corresponds to this bottom here, and you would have had this benefit from that. So quite clearly, the bottoms of the market for Apple is quite clearly shown by the RSI touching this particular line. So whenever you want to buy any stock, doesn't have to be Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, if it's Apple or Facebook, Netflix, Google, any of those types, any big super growth companies, you can use this to ascertain whereabouts we are. As you can see, currently we're right in the middle here, so this may not be a good time to buy. So wait for the pullback to this line, and then that would be a fantastic opportunity to get in to a stock like Apple. If you found value in this information, then please hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. And finally, on to our wonderful lady called success. Obviously, I'm giving you the analogy of a lady, but please remember, success is not a destination. Success is something you attract by the person that you become. And to become a person that attracts success, there are certain ingredients that you require. And the thing I can tell you about success is this, that many people desire this, yet success seems to visit just a few and closes its door to many. Perhaps only a few people are willing to make their environment conducive enough to welcome the success. Success doesn't care how much you wish for it. If it did, everyone would be successful. If you want success to find you attractive and be associated with you, then you have to avoid these 7 things. So if you see success as like a road that you have to navigate, let's say it has 7 segments. The first segment to avoid, in order to get success, in order to attract this beautiful lady into your life, you have to avoid procrastination. So what does procrastination mean? It means those people, and you've all come across them, who say, oh, I'll do it later, which is equivalent of saying, I will never do it. Procrastination and success can never live together. Where there is procrastination, there is no success. If I give you the example of Bill Gates, if he had procrastination, there would be no Microsoft today. The second thing to avoid if you want success is called the fear of failure. If you have a fear of failure, there is absolutely no way you can attract success into your life. Always remember, the more you fail, the higher your chance of reaching success. Because if you do not give up, you can never fail. Failure is really a teacher. It teaches you what didn't work out for you. And if you allow it, it will motivate you to find other ways that will work out. And unsuccessful people, unfortunately, allow failure to cripple them. They give up in the face of failure and remain stagnant. If you want to succeed, you need to give up that fear of failure. The third ingredient to avoid is called ignorance. Always remember, successful people have a habit of learning. If you find yourself constantly failing at something, don't convince yourself success is on the way. No, it isn't. The world is continuously changing, and if you refuse to learn, you will become outdated. Knowledge is power at the end of the day. No lady called success will ever entertain anyone who doesn't have the zest to learn more, to improve more, to become more, to become bigger, better and wiser. So avoid this at all costs. The fourth ingredient to avoid is a lack of purpose. If you don't go out of your way to create the life that you really want, then by default, you will end up with the life that you really don't want. This is where purpose comes in. Purpose is really having a vision, a goal, a target, an objective in life. Because when life gets tough, guess what pulls you through? Purpose will pull you through. So when you're on the floor, when you're having a hard time, the thought of your purpose, your vision, your goal, your targets, your objectives will pull you through the difficult times. And no lady will want somebody who gives up and who doesn't have a purpose in life. And no lady called success will ever go for somebody who doesn't have a vision, a goal, or a target to aim at. Imagine if you didn't have a vision, you'd just be going sideways because you wouldn't know where you're going. So purpose is really having a plan. If you do not have a plan to succeed, then you automatically plan to fail. Every day you wake up, you need to know exactly why you are getting up. You need to have a purpose and a plan for your life. Successful people plan their life, they have a budget, they have dreams, and they have aspirations. And in order for you to succeed in life, you need to have a good plan and a sense of direction. The fifth ingredient to avoid is lack of courage. I'll give you a quote here. Henry Ford said that the man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both right, because the man who says he can will, and the man who says he can't won't. And you've got to have the courage to be positive, to look forward, to be a doer. Like they say, just do it. Get on with it. Have the courage of your convictions. Have the confidence in your ability to take the step, to take the decision, and go forward. The people who are courageous, you'll find, are very much results orientated. The sixth ingredient to avoid is complaining. Rather than complaining about what is wrong with something, find out how it can be made right instead. You see, successful people are problem solvers. They don't complain about the rain, they go and invent an umbrella. But everybody knows the types of people who are always complaining. They're complaining about the weather, the next door neighbor, their parents, their brothers, their sisters, their friends, their teachers. Everybody except themselves. Any lady called Success doesn't take very kindly to people who complain. And finally, once you've got these six, there's still one more to go. The final one is self-belief. When the Wright brothers decided to make the plane and informed their father, he said to them, if God wanted us to fly, he would have made us with wings. Did the Wright brothers get put off by that? No. They carried on despite the lack of confidence by others. The rest, as they say, is history. The point is, you must believe in yourself. The worst offenders are the people around you. Whenever you put an idea to others around you, your friends, your colleagues, your family, your friends, they will always talk down on your dreams and tell you that they are impossible. Believing you can do it is all you need. If you don't believe that you can achieve success, then the chances are you won't achieve the success. So self-belief, having the confidence in your own ability, is a main ingredient that you must have if you want to attract this lady called Success. And as for me, I'll stick to the Snickers bar. And as you can see, a Snickers bar in your pocket is not enough to attract this lady called Success. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. Thank you once again for watching. Very much appreciated. Now, if you found value in this content, then please remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. And if you want to leave any comments, questions or suggestions, then leave them in the comments below. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.